In a world of dungeons, dragons, and devious DMs, 4 adventurers set out to save the mysterious land of Blaelflow.
I'm Frank Bunty, Dwarven Paladin and all-round badass. I like nothing more than righting wrongs and smiting evil.
I'm Bonarail, a half-elf rogue that'll rob you blind and mess you up.
I'm Lord Sugar, a human wizard noble. I'm rich, I'm better than everyone, and I set fire to everything.
I'm Draco Justice, Dragonborn Monk. For when justice calls, who will answer? I will. I'm Draco Justice.
And I'm Doddy, the resident DM. I'll be throwing everything at these guys, including the kitchen sink. Ooh, a mimic kitchen sink.
Nerd OD&D from the Nod Network. Listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, and wherever else you get podcasts.
And I hope you've all watched the Whedon cut, because today we're going to be spoiling the heck out of it. Well, maybe not spoiling it, but we're going to talk about it at least, aren't we, Reg?
We definitely are. It was a great 2 hours of my life.
2 hours? Did you watch it on like double speed?
The Whedon cut.
Oh, the Whedon cut. You watched the Whedon cut.
Well, that's what you said.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, let's redo that. I'll just say it here and I can cut it in. The Snyder cut. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd OD podcast, and I hope you've all watched the Snyder cut, because today we're going to be spoiling the heck out of it. Well, maybe not spoiling it, but we're going to talk about it at least, aren't we, Reg?
We definitely are, because it was on telly the other night, so I watched it.
It was on okay, because you have Sky where you have to watch live television, because that's still a thing apparently.
Yes, I did. I recorded the Snyder cut, and thankfully I didn't watch it live on Sky.
No.
Because did you hear what happened?
No, what happened?
So they went to put the Snyder cut on Sky Cinema on Thursday morning at 7:00, and
that was like the premiere, was it?
It was indeed. That was So that was the very first showing was 7:00 in the morning when it came on, and I can't remember for the life of me what was the name of Carrie from Sex and the City? Who plays Carrie in Sex and the City? Sarah Jessica Parker. Yeah. So it was replaced with her film, which came on, and it was something Stone, the Family Stone.
Oh, the Family Stone. Okay, yeah.
The Christmas comedy.
Right.
They have no idea how it happened, apparently, but Twitter went mental.
Okay.
With burn up. So not only did fans want to watch Tom and Jerry and ended up the Snyder cut, when you actually want to watch the Snyder cut, you end up watching the Family Stone. So, I made the wise idea of not starting at 7:00 in the morning, because of work and such.
Yeah.
So I recorded it and I could watch it in bits, which was handy because obviously having a 2-year-old, trying to make him sit through a 4-hour film is not the best of things. It wouldn't be so bad. Like, he likes the Marvel films, so he'll sit there, and because it's all dead bright and colourful and there's lots of stuff going on, he's like, ooh. Because obviously this is DC, it's like we need to make this moody and gritty. It's not very colourful.
No.
So he was just like, "What's these big scary flying things?" And I don't like this. I'm going to watch a tablet.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he was like, "Dad, you're not watching this. We're going to play instead."
Yeah. And why has Batman got machine guns and he keeps saying the F word?
Yes. Yes, he did do that.
He did do it a lot.
Which is weird. And right, so. Yeah, so the Snyder cut. So we both watched it 4 hours.
Yeah. Now I was like, I need to watch it before we pod, because I feel like we need to talk about it. So I had to make sure I had 4 hours spare. Now I started at about lunchtime, say about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and unfortunately just finished it in time for us to pod, which we normally pod at 8:30. So that's where the joke there comes from for people who don't realize, because it's very long. It's 4 hours, 3 hours and 57 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, so when everyone was like, oh yeah, it's 4 hours, I'm like, right, okay, and it's not. Like,
it's just shy.
It's 4 hours and 3 minutes. And it's like, right, okay, so when I looked at it, it was like 3 hours and 49 or something on Sky. I was like, are we missing like 15 minutes of footage from somewhere? And then I checked that out. I'm like, no, it's not. So why are people saying it's over 4 hours when it's not? Like, admittedly, it's just being a little bit pedantic, I suppose, on my end. But if someone says, right, okay, it's 4 hours and 3 minutes, you expect to see at least 4 hours of the film, or 3 hours and 58 minutes, and then the rest of it being credits. It was just weird. panned out. But
yeah, it's an odd one. Like it's split into like 6 chapters as well.
Yeah,
Literally comes up with title cards saying, chapter 1 and a name and then a quote, which is one of the first lines that will be said in that chapter. And it's weird. I mean, I guess before we even get into it, I feel like it would have worked really well how they originally said they were going to do it, which was split it into like 4-hour-long movies or something like that, 4-hour-long TV episodes. And I think if it had come a lot later and all the Disney Plus Marvel stuff had have been out and been, as they'd have seen how popular that was, I feel like that they might have kept with that direction. Because people are suddenly used to these mini movies every week, something that is in this, proper big, normally important cinematic environment is like, right, no, now it is on streaming, it is on TV. Because 4 hours is an awful lot of time to sit down and just watch something. Saying that, people go, oh yeah, I binged 4 series of the X-Files or whatever. They spend 3 days watching their favorite program nonstop. Yeah, 4-hour movie. They sometimes seem to turn a nose about it. But yeah, I think it would have worked well split into parts. I'm not saying it didn't work well as a 4-hour movie.
That's the thing, isn't it? Because originally I thought it was 4 parts, so I was like, well, perfect, because what I'm going to do is just pace myself and just watch part by part. And then
releasing that once a week, seeing the internet's reaction to like WandaVision coming out every week and all the theories and everyone talking about it, I really think it would have built this momentum if they'd have released 4 parts or 6 parts once a week. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I genuinely thought, right, okay, I'm going to pace myself and I'm just going to do bit by bit, and that's how I'm going to watch it. And then part 1 was on for like 20 minutes, and then part 2 just came so quick, and I was like, okay, so either part 4 is going to be stupidly long, or they're now going to be able to split these equally, and then part 2 to 3 happened rather quickly. And I was like, these are ragging through the chapters, and like chapter 4 was like 2 hours and something odd minutes into it, and I was like, this isn't going to be a 4-parter, is it?
No, and
it came part 5 and then part 6, and I was like, right. I have no idea how long
and
this
it's
is going to be.
Technically a 7th because there's epilogues as well.
Yes. And yeah, so I'll start by saying it's a hell of a lot better than the Whedon cut.
Yeah, it is. It genuinely is. That doesn't mean it's amazing.
No, this is my second thing. So while everyone is going like, it's amazing, it's so good, oh my god, it's what it should have been, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, it is what it should have been.
If it is what it should have been, though, and it first came out, would you still be singing its praises, or would you still be saying it's got a lot of pacing issues?
Yeah,
the characters still aren't what we wanted them to be. It's like the CGI is a hell of a lot better than usual DC stuff.
Yeah, but it's a lot of CGI.
It's a lot of CGI, and it's a lot of slow motion to show off.
Look at a show like The Mandalorian, right, where a lot of the environments are done virtually. Like there was, plenty of on set stuff, but then there was a lot of stuff where rather than do a green screen, they shot them against this super high definition, like spherical screen, and they had people sort of managing that to make sure the lighting and everything was right, so they could just film it naturally, and it looks great. You don't even realize it. Like the amount of people that I've had a conversation about this with, and they'd be like, "Oh, I have no idea they did that," and you watch the making of, and it's amazing. Yet this just constantly looks like, even when they're just stood around talking, so they're not even in a big fight, they're surrounded by a CGI environment. It's just, I mean, it's the same in the original cut. It feels like really overkill. That just bugs me. That's enough to knock it down a little bit just to start off with. But yeah, don't know.
Yeah, so it's and just like I said before, I think if you took out 90% of the slow mo, which was not required, I think it would literally be like a 2-hour, 2.5 hour film. just seemed to be a lot of fucking slow motion and in really awkward bits.
Yeah. Well, look at the first. You were saying, the first part is over in like about 15, 20 minutes, right? The entire first 5 minutes is following Superman's scream. Like, I won't. I don't think we'll go into too much of like in terms of spoiling it. But this is like within the first 5 minutes, it shows him dying in Bat v Soup, right? And then he lets out this scream, which is all done in slow motion, and you see these sound waves coming out. And then it just follows him to different parts of the world. Like you follow him to the Atlanteans, and you follow them to Themyscira, and you follow it to, who knows where else. And it's just this constant as these sound waves fly past the screen. It gets really annoying because it goes on for so long. Like I wouldn't. It's the fact it bugged me that I'm like, this really is going on for a long time, just showing us everyone hearing him dying around the world, and him and it's setting off the mother boxes and all that sort of stuff. That went on and on and on and on, and that could have easily been cut down to next to nothing. Like that's within the first 5 to 10 minutes. So yeah, there's an awful lot they could have cut out, but I look at it as Zack Snyder. He said Joss Whedon. Then Zack Snyder likes to do his cut of the films. When Sucker Punch came out on DVD, it was like, here's the extended cut, and it had all the extra put into it that the studio cut out or whatnot. Watchmen, he re-released that as a director's cut, and then re-released it as an ultimate cut, which was 4 and a bit hours. And weirdly, I have no problem watching that. I love it, but it's a bit different in that it cuts in the animated Tales from the Black Freighter every now and again, like it is in the comic, if you've read the comic. So that works really well. 4 hours, it's I don't know, kind of all right with that. So I understand why he just wants to go, no, look, this is everything that we originally intended to film. We've got the footage of. This is the film. This genuinely is my version of the film, because it's before we sit down in an editing suite and go, yeah, let's cut this out for pacing. Let's get rid of that scene. That scene's not important. We don't need that. So it's weird. Not many directors seem to do it, but he seems really keen to be like, this was my original vision. This is how I want it.
I mean, and sometimes, yeah, it could work. But like you said, sometimes, you're like, come on, do we really need all of this? We don't. And like I love Sucker Punch. I think Sucker Punch is a great film, highly underrated, fantastic film. I love the original version of Watchmen, but when it said, okay, here's a 4 hour, I'm sorry, I thought I'd mute myself and didn't. Here's a 4 hour version of Watchmen. I'm like, I don't think I can do that.
Fair enough.
I really enjoyed the Watchmen film, but it's just, yeah, it is weird, and I completely understand what you're saying. I'll happily sit there and watch a series or something. But there's something where you just think 4 hours is a long time to dedicate it to that one particular thing. And even though it's the same as, like, even if they just split that Watchmen up to 4 episodes and I was off by myself, I would probably watch the 4 episodes. Yeah.
Did you watch the Watchmen miniseries they did, or the limited series they did?
You know what? I've got it recorded. I'm still not got around to watching it yet.
Amazing. It's so good. Like,
so much stuff that I need to watch. But I will at some point get around to doing it.
It is genuinely one of my favourite shows that has been made in the last 5-10 years. It's incredible.
Oh, really?
I don't know how much of that is based on me just really liking the comic and the film or not, because it is a completely original story. But there are aspects as you go through, you find out that certain things have sort of affected what happens in this. It's set further in the future, but yeah, so good. But
great.
But anyway,
well then, because like I said, I've got it on the old box sets recorded, so at some point I will dive into it. I just keep finding like so much stuff. Is like I said on the weekly chats that we have at the beginning of the thing with work. like me and the boss and the other guy, we just sit there and like, right, okay, so what's everyone watching? So like finish off this, and then we've all got like individual watch lists now from what other people have been doing. Like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch that. Right, stick that on there, stick that on there, stick that on there. And then you've now got the ridiculous thing of, right, okay, so what's that on? That's on the iPlayer. Right, okay, so that's on the iPlayer. This is on Netflix. That's Amazon Prime. That's Disney Plus. All right, what's this one on then? I'm like, well, that one's on Sky. I'm like, all right, so we'll need to grab Now TV. You're working out, you need something like 50 or 60 quid's worth of bloody subscription streaming services to actually watch everything that you want to watch on a fucking watch list now. It's utterly ridiculous.
Absolutely. That is the weird thing. I mean, I think it's less a problem over here, but I've heard people on various American podcasts that I listen to talking about cable, and apparently, I mean, I know there's people who spend about 100 odd quid on Sky, but there's people spending hundreds of dollars a month on TV bundles through cable providers, because there's just so many different variations of what you need, and different states and have different providers, and different providers have deals with different channels. So if you don't have this one, you can't get this channel, and like just standard channels, not even like, oh, you don't get the movie package or you don't get the sports package. Literally, like, you might not get I don't know, AMC or something like that. Yeah, you know, a fairly big channel, you may not get it. I guess like having Virgin and not having Sky Atlantic, that sort of thing.
Okay.
But that, you know, people are now like in a big way over in the States cutting cable off and going to you know, all these streaming services. And the one thing that no one's doing yet is no company has gone, okay, let's talk to Netflix and Amazon and Now and Star and Disney Plus and, you know, all these different companies, and said, okay, we'll get you subscribers, and we're going to charge them X amount, and we'll then give you your cut, which is slightly less than you would get if they went to you directly, but we're going to bundle them all together. So, you know, you would just have one price of like, say, £30, and you could have, I mean, you know, if you got Netflix, which is what, $8.99 for the basic, you've got Disney Plus, which is $7.99.
Yeah, $7.99.
Yeah.
Gone up.
Now you can get for a tenner for the entertainment stuff. Amazon is $5.99 for just TV, isn't it? So you're less than 30 quid for the 4 big streaming services right now. Yeah, you know, and you probably get more movies than Sky have got on offer. I took out a Now TV movies month pass, spent £6 so I could watch the Justice League, and I went through all the movies that are recent, all the big ones, and I've bookmarked about 6 that I'm going to watch over this next month. But there's not much else. I look at everything else, and it's all, you know, it's gone to Netflix or it's gone to Amazon. It's not a big deal anymore. Yet you can pay, like I say, less than £30 and have pretty much all the big streaming services and have access to almost everything. It's crazy. But anyway, we're getting off topic here.
Yes, sorry.
Kinda. Sorry. Yeah. So I think rather than say what, you know, I know a lot of people out there going, oh, it's amazing, it's great. I think what we need to look at is how bad the Whedon cut is. Okay, right. And why it's so bad. And this is, in my opinion, is why this is decent. Decent is about as strong as a praise I'll give it. So the Whedon cut, I was looking at Wikipedia. I wanted to find out all the timescales on this, but May 2017, Zack Snyder had to leave because of the family emergency he had. They bring in Joss Whedon. They're like, okay, right, look, this guy did Avengers and Age of Ultron, and look how amazing, huge they were. Let's get him in. And supposedly, it's not all on Joss Whedon. It's mostly on the studio. The studio were like, right, no, look, it's too dark. We want something big, you know, bright and a bit more cheer to it, a bit nicer, a bit more like Avengers. What can you do? And Joss Whedon and the writers had to rewrite the movie and get, you know, all the stuff laid out that they needed to reshoot to make this new version of the film, which isn't entirely different to the Snyder cut, but it's fairly different. There's a lot of scenes I noticed that that weren't in it. So that was in May. The film came out in November that year. So he had like 6 months to rewrite, to shoot it, to edit it, and get it released and do all the CGI. Hence why it's a terrible mustache, removal, which is so much better, so much better in this film, in the Snyder cut. It's amazing what difference 3 years makes on CGI.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, and then the studio start meddling, saying, look, it needs to be under 2 hours. So they come in with a film that's 1 hour and 59 minutes, which I've talked about before, which is just such a clear sign that the studio is like, no, this will make it a good film. We don't want people to be bored. We don't want to overstay our welcome. Less than 2 hours. Joss Whedon directing and rewriting it. Brilliant. So I don't think it ever could have been a decent movie.
Yeah. And I completely agree. It's like I was chatting about it in work before with Mike, and I was saying that basically the Whedon cut. It's been that. Thankfully, I've not watched it since its theatrical release over here.
I don't want to watch it again.
No, but when you go back and think about it, it literally is what Whedon did with Age of Ultron. So Age of Ultron. Now, when you go back and watch it, though, it is a good film. I remember not liking it as much as what I did.
In comparison, wasn't it? That was the thing.
Yes.
It was in comparison to the old, to the original Avengers. Yeah.
And when you think, like, I wasn't it wasn't a bad film. It just wasn't great, I thought, when it first came out. But then after watching all the films with Ash again recently, I was like, you know what? Seeing how they all tied everything in together and how it was really fucking good, and it was underappreciated. And I got a bit of a feeling like that with what this could have been. So I think we're Whedon again, because it's just obviously the same director. He's got this, you can see all the little touches that he's put into the original cut.
Yeah,
when you go through, and
There's a video, I can't remember who it is. There's a video on YouTube that I watched a month or two ago, which showed what he did with Justice League. And he basically just took the template of Avengers Assembled, or whatever you want to call it, and put the Justice League characters in. He goes through and says, here's the similarities. Like there's a moment when this happens, there's a moment when that happens, there's a moment when the team's torn apart and they all have a big argument and then they have to get back together, and this is why this bit didn't work as well as the Avengers one and stuff. And it's uncanny. It really is almost beat for beat the same story as the first Avengers film. And I'm not surprised. It's almost like the studio going, come on, we want something like Avengers. We want something that people are just going to love and they're going to be sat in the theaters and going to be cheering and it's going to be great. And he was like, all right, well, I'll just give them Avengers. I've not got enough time to write something original, so here you go. It's very weird. So it's uncanny. So my point is, that was never going to be a good film. Now, that doesn't mean that Zack Snyder's version was going to be good.
No.
Because, on his track record, Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, they're just not good. I don't think there's any... people seem to be, if you badmouth the Snyder Cut, people on the internet seem to be up in arms about it. But I've never seen that reaction against those two films. So I'm assuming they're safe and people agree that they're just not very good.
Yeah, I think people are with that much in hope that this Snyder Cut is going to bring his version of like the Holy Trilogy to sort of life.
Yeah.
And that if they claim it's good enough, and it was all right, if they claimed it was that good, then they will get to see the second one come through. And if they did what they did with when the Whedon Cut came out, like, no, release the Snyder Cut. Now the hashtag's already trending of save the Snyderverse and all this, the Snyder League. And I'm like, right, okay. Now, I know we're going to go a little bit more into the first film anyway, because we need to discuss certain elements of it. But with him coming out now in all the interviews, and it's common knowledge now, so we can quite happily talk about it, I suppose, is he's explained what his trilogy was going to be and how it was going to.
Kevin Smith revealed that months ago.
Yeah.
He was like, because it's never going to happen. Zack Snyder told me this is what it was going to be, and then it kind of happened. It's like, oops, yeah, shouldn't have probably said that.
Well, I think, to be fair, that trilogy sounded good. It sounded very injustice-y, but it did sound like it could be a really good trilogy. Now, a couple of issues I've got is like, okay, maybe if we can't get it in the theatrical releases, we could do a HBO Max series. Yeah. Right. Because when I was chatting to my father, I was like, it was always the thing that Marvel was the best at the theatrical releases, and yet DC was smashing out the telly. Like Marvel couldn't hold its own ground when it came.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
now
they're not. It's not. Well, yeah, no, 100%. But the TV, it's always just been this sort of really watered down version of the shows. You know what I mean? There's ignoring the Marvel TV stuff they're doing now. It just didn't feel anything like a movie quality. It felt really just like a bit cheesy. Yeah, like a bit soap opera-ish. I know, Arrow's, it's a bit darker. It's nice, but it's still, there's still something about them where it's not that great. They're fun and entertaining, but the quality of them isn't quite there. But yeah, the stuff that people are doing now, you look at things like Game of Thrones and WandaVision or anything like that, and The Mandalorian. It is movie quality on TV. So yes, we're now at that point where it could have a place. The budget seemed to be suddenly there that they're willing to spend the right sort of money on this sort of stuff. I guess the question is with that, could they spend the right sort of money on Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot, and Jason Momoa? Because I think the cost of them's probably prohibitive. I don't know. I feel like there is a chance that they'll fund another movie. I do think there's a good chance of that with the reception it's got and with the ratings and the subscribers they've got to HBO Max. I think there's a good chance. Well,
the Warner Brothers guys come out from the head of the studio and been like, yeah, just because it's done great, don't expect this to happen. Fair enough. So which would be a shame, because it would be nice to see it continue on, and it would be nice, like we said, to have a DC series that would actually be of similar quality.
If HBO went to Warner Brothers and said, "Look, here's $200 million, can we make it?" I'm pretty sure they'd be like, "Yeah, go for it." Yeah, can't there's a lot of other places that money can come from.
Like it would be great, because I would like to sit. And the only other issue we've got now is hopefully Flashpoint will be able to, when the Flash film comes out, that'll be able to take some of the worries away, which is what people were hoping before the Snyder Cut was coming to life. They'd be like, hopefully, brilliant, we'll be able to do this.
Exactly, we'll see what that does, whether that does. I mean, even the likes of whatever the next Aquaman's going to be, they are still set in that universe, so it wouldn't surprise me if there comes a time where they want to pick it up again.
Well, the thing is, though, like they've got to, because there's no way Ray Fisher is going to be able to play Cyborg. Obviously, they've taken them off the Flash now thing as well, due to obviously all the legal allegations and the fight. That's a whole nother issue that we won't go into. But he's my least favorite bit of that film. But he was the biggest part of his version of the Justice League as well, and that's what obviously Snyder was saying. That Cyborg is a huge part of it.
Yes and no. He had a bigger. What I liked about it is that it did give some of the side characters far more of a purpose. Like Flash and Cyborg in the Whedon cut, just I don't know, they were just there.
they were that's yeah. I'm saying,
You know,
basically that's
you look at the finale, and it was big fight, typical Joss Whedon. Oh, there's a single family in peril, so we can show that there are some real human stakes in this. Let's get them saved. Do you remember that? Because it was like
in the middle of
it
that,
wasn't in an abandoned sort of irradiated town. It was just this town that everyone evacuated except this one family didn't get out in time, so they were stuck in there, and they had to save them. And then when they mention that early on in the film, they say, "Yeah, it's an abandoned town." In the Snyder cut, I was like, okay, so they've got rid of that. That was definitely a Whedon thing. But anywho, yeah, it was just fight, rescue the family. Oh no, we're about to lose the fight. No, it's fine because Superman's alive. He saves the day. It's over. It was like, yeah, they had to try and keep Superman out of it for as long as possible. And then he just suddenly decides to come back. There didn't seem to be any build up to convincing him to come back. Whereas this, it was an awful lot better. He still doesn't come till later on in the fight. Again, I'll try not to spoil things here, but
I think we might have to, because there's a few things I do want to talk about.
His journey to deciding, yeah, okay, I'm going to come and help these guys, made a lot more sense. That worked this time. It didn't feel like it worked last time. It just felt like he just decided, all right, yeah, I'll come and help, and still didn't really care. He just came along and helped, and still wasn't that happy about it. Whereas this, he was like, yeah, no, come on, let's sort this guy out. But then that's not the end of it. He might have that big fight, and he clearly looks like he's winning, but then Cyborg and Flash have a huge part in actually completing this fight, this mission or whatnot. And without them, there's no point to any of it. It doesn't matter how much punching they can do, whether they can kill Steppenwolf. It doesn't matter, because what he set in motion is going to happen unless these two characters who had nothing to do previously can complete their task. Again, without spoiling exactly what's going on. So that I thought was really, really good. I was really happy that they gave them a little bit extra to do.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, because I was not a fan of the Flash, Ezra Miller's version of the Flash in the original Justice League. But right.
I liked him. He was one of the better bits, I thought, compared to like say Cyborg. Just didn't do anything for me.
My issue with Ezra Miller is the fact that I was so used to Grant Gustin version of the Flash that when I watched this version of Flash, and it's the same when back in 2017, 2018, if they did a Green Arrow film and it wasn't Stephen Amell, I'd be like, I don't care how good this guy is. It's not my Green Arrow. I'm not connecting with this guy because I'm so used to watching another person play him that I'm like, I can't do this. Whereas now I've had that long away from the Flash and the Arrowverse, that watching Ezra Miller now, I'm like, right, okay, I get it now, and I don't mind it. I think he plays a decent-ish character. There were certain bits, like I didn't like the puppy scene when he goes into the pet shop. When he first saves Iris, to be like, hey, there's the setup for the Flash thing. And then that bit was just a bit no, but I liked it when he goes to see his dad and he's chatting to his dad and how he still gets all giddy seeing Batman for the first time and stuff like that. That's cool. Yeah. But my issue with Cyborg is the fact that it's not Teen Titans Go Cyborg. And I know that's on me. I know that is massively on me, but when you're the only version of Cyborg and you are used to is the comedy Cyborg, having a really fucking serious, like, I've got nothing, no one, I hate myself, I hate life, what you've done to me, this is all fucking awful. I'm like, yeah, just not a fan. Your suit design's pretty wank. It's just not great.
He's overkill on CGI. If you look at something like, look at Iron Man's suit, which technically is the same sort of thing, just looks great, looks real.
Yeah, it
Whereas
looks
there's
so much better.
nothing about him that isn't 100% clearly CGI.
No,
So,
the
it's
one
weird.
thing that did make me laugh, which it shouldn't have done, because there's nothing bad about the design, it's actually a really good thing. When they're looking through for the heat signature of like the mother box or the mother box, whatever it is that they're looking for,
Mother boxes, yeah.
and they're in Batman's little cave house thing, and they're looking at the screen. I was like, "What the
Batman's
fuck?
little cave.
Like, what is
The
that red?
Batcave.
Yeah, I was like, what is that red thing? What's that red thing on the screen?" I was trying to figure out what it is because, like, oh, it's there. That's where it is. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, what's that red thing up there then? And then when I thought about it, I was like, fuck, Cyborg's looking at the screen, and it's his red eye that's literally on the screen.
I had exactly that. Like exactly that thing. I was like, what are they looking at? I mean, partly because I've got this beautiful 43-inch TV, and I'm watching it, taking up half the screen because it's in 4:3, which is frustrating. Just not having the whole screen. So, things aren't quite as big as they normally would be. So I was like, yeah, where is it? Where's the point? And I was like, oh, it's there. And then it zoomed in and that didn't move. And I was like, oh, no, okay, that's just a reflection. So, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's mad. And with some of the issues with the pacing is like how he was like, no, I don't want any part of this. No, this is all rubbish. No. And then the next thing is he's with them. I didn't ever see him like turn up to be like, okay, guys, I'm in. What's the plan? Like, what do I do? Or anything. He was just literally next to him, and I'm like, did I miss something? Because all of a sudden he's just like part of the fucking group straight away. Like, how did he get to that bit? Like, how did he know where to find what was going on with that? Like, that made no sense. At least with like the Flash, you actually see him come back to the Batcave and shit and chat about stuff. Whereas Cyborg was just randomly, oh yeah, right, I'm here. Same with Aquaman. He went hunting for Aquaman for ages. And then also Aquaman's just there. And like, I just, there's certain bits where I'm like, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. The whole Norwegian hymn coming through in that village, when Aquaman goes back into the water again.
Well,
like,
that's another 2 or 3 minutes that you can cut out.
Yeah, I was just like, you're doing the full song? Oh, you're doing the full song. Right, okay, yeah, it's still going. Wow, it's still going.
Because why not?
It's just like it takes up just there's so much random epicness in air quotes. It just makes you think, but because like I said, you've got used to the characters now because it's been that long since come out. You've had like the Aquaman film come out, as well, and you've had threats of Robert Pattinson's Batman coming out soon. Yeah, and you're like, did you really want like Robert Pattinson to be Batman? Because like Batfleck was a fucking really good Batfleck. So all of a sudden, your hatred for the new Batman makes you appreciate everything that Batman's done more. And it's the same with Aquaman. Aquaman was like, you know what? I don't like the fucking you're my homie. This is what Aquaman is. When that's not what he was. But now you've become accustomed to him because you've watched the Whedon cut and he was in that. Then you've watched the Aquaman solo film. You're used to the way that Aquaman is. So now when you watch this one, you're like,
I think it works.
I know what to expect. And I liked him a lot more. Like, I hated him in the first Justice League, the first cut of it. I was like, that is just like, what the fuck is he? He's like the surfer dude, just the homie that popped up. Like what they did was it worked well for Thor when he was Fat Thor and he was playing Fortnite. And you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. He's just wanted to get away from everything. He's turned alcohol because everything has happened. But you know the progression and how he's gone. And you think, yeah, you know what, he actually pulls it off quite well. I don't think he turns around, whereas Aquaman just straight away was like, yeah, you're my homie and stuff. So they've kept in that bit, where the end fight, when they're all going through and, Aquaman's riding the Batmobile and he's like, cool. And then he fucking jumps up and does like the aerial fight for no fucking reason at all. And then he starts riding the dude down like he's a surfboard.
Yeah. And then when he lands, the hair flip.
Yeah.
But that's what makes me like it, the little touches like that. I wonder how much of that is a choice and how much of that is just him. Because that's what he seems like in real life. Yeah. But I also think, like, is it like, right, when you land, just do the sort of the surfer like hair flip because he does it just so perfectly timed and it's so casual that it just works.
He plays that character, that variation of the character really well. Like you said, you can believe that's what it's going to be. So now, after all this time of being used to Jason Momoa being Aquaman, it'll be the same as if now a serious guy comes, like blonde dude comes on and is like, "Hey, I'm Aquaman." I'm like, "No, you're not." Jason Momoa is Aquaman, because I'm so now used to that character. That doesn't faze me. Still don't like Superman. There's nothing they can do to make me like Superman. He's just, and it's the things like with the Flash and stuff as well. And the other thing that got me is how when Wonder Woman's in the bank at the beginning, and she literally deflects every single bullet going across all the fucking people, which looks awful. Like that does not look good.
It doesn't look like in her films.
No,
that's one of the problems.
Yeah,
it hasn't got this sort of unified sort of look to it. The way she's moving, she just doesn't do that in her own films. So it's, don't know. That's weird to me. I know it's a different director and different producers and everything, but
it's the same character, so it should.
Yeah, they should try and keep it.
That's the issue that they've got, but they can't seem to make the mind up with her powers.
Right.
In it. That's the thing that gets me. So she was really quick, fucking rapid in that bank scene. Yet when the guy goes to reload, she's not quick enough to literally stop him from reloading and get him. And then she stops the bomb, but then decides to blow up the fucking building anyway. But then when she's fighting Steppenwolf later on, why can't she move anywhere near as quick when she's fighting Steppenwolf as she can when she's deflecting the bullets off the bad guys? And like that, to me, doesn't make sense. And what's the point in the Flash if fucking Superman can go equally as quick? There's so many things. I was like, that's just really. I mean, to be fair, there's no point in any of them when Superman comes back, because no one can fucking touch anything. Like Superman apparently is the Swiss Army knife of fucking superheroes. He can just do everything and anything, and apparently better than anyone. So like, it annoyed me when Superman's just got hold of Aquaman and Wonder Woman, or Wonder Woman and Cyborg by the throats, and you see the Flash running past the side, and Superman does a little like eye look to be like, I see what you're doing, and does it. And it's like, can you not just tone his powers down? He's only just come back. Just tone down a bit and let him build up to get to have the powers.
Yeah.
So like that still frustrates me like massively. But there was some nice things in the film. Like I said, I quite like the story beats. Like I know where it's going if they did manage to do, obviously, with like Lois Lane having the pregnancy test and stuff like that. I like the idea if they're doing the third one. You've already said, haven't you, who the new Batman's going to be? Because apparently that's going to be Superman's kid.
No, I've not heard that.
Oh yeah, so Zack Snyder came out and was like, yeah, so the second one's going to show actually Robin dying and how Batman, when. So I don't know. Are we all right to spoil everything? Since we've been talking about it.
I'm trying to avoid it because it's only been out for 4 or 5 days at this point.
Right. Okay.
And it's not. I don't think it's on something that is easily as accessible now. I don't know why, because it's just Now TV and it's Sky Movies. But I don't know. I feel it's less likely that people will have watched it than an episode of WandaVision, for example.
Right. Okay. So, without saying what happens in the film and stuff, then, in the third one, obviously you've seen Superman die in Batman versus Superman: The Dawn of Justice, and in I think it's the second one, isn't it? Where if they're going to show it, Lois Lane apparently dies, and that's what causes the nightmare.
Well, that's what the nightmare world is getting at. And
so
in Batman versus Superman, when he's visited by Barry Allen, he's like, you got to save Lois. She's the key, or whatever.
Yeah, she's the key.
So,
and he references that, doesn't he, in this version?
Yes, which is good, because he didn't in the Whedon cut. It was just that's not important.
So obviously this is all the playing up for. So they're saying Lois is the key. You need to save Lois. But in the in the third film, apparently Flash would have gone back in time, told Batman what's going to happen, but then Batman goes, I know what I've got to do, and he sacrifices himself instead of Lois Lane,
Right.
and then everyone lives happy, and she has this little sprog, and they call it like Bruce Kent, and he becomes the new Batman, and that's how that was going to end the actual trilogy off with, was it all being like a nice little family union coming through. So, but there's loads of it. It sounded really good, and like we said, without spoiling anything, I really liked the Joker, because that is common knowledge that he's in the epilogue. So
yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely.
Apart from the laugh, I think the laugh was the only thing where I was like, that just seems really forced and like not right. But I quite liked his voice. I think he played him really well. If he only would have played that like that in fucking Suicide Squad, I think it would have been.
I didn't. That was the epilogue was the worst bit of the film for me. It just seemed completely pointless. I don't know. I don't know what.
It's only pointless because we're not going to get any more.
I think regardless of that,
that's the issue with it, because that would have set up 2 straight away, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but no, because it's a dream. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any bearing on anything else.
Because he even states it's a premonition.
Yeah,
doesn't he? He states when he says like Lois's key, a dream. No, a premonition. So he knows. Like
no, I think Barry Allen visiting him, and what he thought was a dream. I think that happened. I think that's real, because he also has it happens twice in Justice League, doesn't it? It happened once in the original cut, where he goes to the nightmare world and has the big fight with the bat things or whatever. So I don't know. It doesn't have. That's the thing. I don't think it has to be anything. So it didn't make me go, oh great, yeah, there's the tease for the next one. It just made me go, they just wanted to get the Joker in. It's just there's nothing you can do to make me like him.
It was the first thing they shot, because he didn't want.
It was the only thing they shot.
Yeah, I was going to say he didn't want to not have Batman go up against or have an interaction with the Joker. If this is the final time the only time I get to do it, he was like, they need to get together. I was like, fair enough. The one thing that made me chuckle a lot, though, and I think it's just because obviously this came out now after Spider-Man Far From Home, but the thing where with Deathstroke and stuff, when they have to reveal the identity and stuff. I'm just like, you've just watched Spider-Man, everyone going like, oh shit! I'm like, right, let's use that. And just like,
well,
really?
that was in the original. That scene was in the original one.
I don't remember him telling them who Bruce Wayne was, though.
Okay, I don't remember that, whether he did or didn't. But
Deathstroke was definitely on the yacht with Lex, but he didn't reveal. He was just like, who I need the Batman. Like, this is personal, and he never references. Like, Lex never says, okay, if you want some information.
Fair enough. I can't remember one way or another with that.
So yeah, but that's the thing with that. But yeah, without spoiling anything else. Now that I've managed to spoil most of it, I think. No. I mean, that is, like you say, that is just, everyone knows that it's absolutely common knowledge that the Joker is in it, and he's in a dream sequence. I don't think I saw a single post that was like, here's a photo of the Joker in the Snyder cut, that didn't also then say, yeah, but he's not really in it, he's in a dream sequence. Yeah. The one thing I am thankful for, though, is the fact that they didn't do it with fucking Jesus Christ. When they started showing you all the teasers and stuff. Absolutely. What is with that? What is with any of that? None of the pictures had anything to do with what we actually saw. No. And I'm quite thankful for that, because I was not a fan. 100%. So I'm like, thank God. I'm not going to disagree at all with that. That was just not looking good at all. So I'm thankful for that. really thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just not good. But overall, I'd say it was about 7 out of 10.
Yeah, that's probably a good. And like I say, that's good going. I think for a 4-hour film that I've technically seen before.
Yeah,
it sort of paced itself fairly well. It was the extra stuff was worth it. I mean, I thought that they filmed an awful lot more, but apparently all they did was the epilogue, the bit with the Joker, and a bit with another character that I definitely won't mention. The rest was all either already filmed or put together with CGI and whatnot. So
that was because the one thing that threw me is the fact that they were like, then Zack Snyder was apparently never going to use a single frame of what Joss Whedon shot and stuff. So I was like, is he doing the entire thing from scratch again then? And then I was like, actually, he's used up a fuck ton of it.
Yeah. But again, I didn't feel like enough of it was like, I've seen this. I've already seen this bit. It almost feels like they used alternative cuts of it or alternative angles and different takes, and so it worked. It did work. The bits to me that were stupid that though were still in it. That was the only problem. There was no build up or set up to whatever the heck these mother boxes are. It's just like, oh yeah, there's these things, and he needs to collect all 3, and if he gets all 3, then he's going to do something, and we need to stop it.
Yeah, I think they were literally. I know Marvel have done it in bits and pieces where they're just like, right, okay, like fans know this, like and you'll get a lot more entertainment from it if you are a fan. You'll get some of our deep cuts and stuff.
Yeah,
but with this, they were just like, right, okay, here's Mother Box. We're not going to fucking explain what it is.
No.
It does just fucking.
Granted, the Snyder Cut did a better job of explaining them. The whole there was a greatly extended scene, which I think was it the opening to the Whedon Cut? I can't remember, but where it shows in the past when Steppenwolf,
yes, when
darkseid first invaded Earth thousands of years ago, and the Atlanteans and the Amazonians and man, but also like some of the I don't want to spoil it, a couple of characters, but anyway, they fought him off, and at least that was extended and explained quite a lot of stuff there, so that was good. But just that, and the whole having to activate it and having to drop, like, this was in the Whedon Cut, so definitely not spoiling it. I'm spoiling it in telling you that this stupid bit is still in it, but I don't understand the whole dropping it and wait until it touches the water, and then the Flash has to give it an electric shock because he's run from so far away, which isn't really that far away, yet he seems to take quite a long time to get there, even though he's supposed to be going the speed of light or close to the speed of light. In fact, he has to go past the speed of light because time moves backwards. That I thought that was a Whedon thing. That seemed so weird and badly written, and just a bit of what they supposedly call chuffer, which is just like, let's just explain something away by saying that it's fact. So right, yeah, if we do this, this will do it, and this will get us from A to B in the story, and that's all we care about. But no, apparently it was in the original cut, in the original story script, because it was in this. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. And granted, that pays off at the end of this cut without ruining anything. So it worked better. But in the moment, I was just like, this stupid bit again.
Yeah.
Anyway. Now, yeah. So summing it up, 7's probably a good score, I think. It was an awful lot better than the Whedon version, but I still don't. I think people are still fanboying a bit too much for no reason. To be honest,
1,000%.
But
1,000%.
I would be interested. I'm more on board now with there being another one and me watching it than I was.
That's exactly what I said to Mike. I was like, like it's not. It is a lot better than the original version, but that doesn't make it a great film. However, what they've done with it has made me go, yeah, you know what? If they said, okay, we're going to move forward and do another one, I would be more into going to see it.
Yeah,
and I would. It'd be fine. Like I like the premise. I like the story that they're going to put into it. If it's going to keep with what the original plan was, from his talks and stuff, and I know they can do the characters now, so yeah, I'd be willing to give it a shot. But at the same time, it's hard watching that just mere hours before I started watching Winter Soldier, Falcon and Winter Soldier, which, to be fair,
dear. Yeah, fair enough,
was great.
Yeah, very good.
Apart from the very last sort of 2 minutes, which I know the whole internet has gone completely mental about. US Agent is...
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, but that's the point. That is completely the point. I'm pretty sure they picked the smuggest, most anti Chris Evans actor they could.
And do you know who it is?
It's Kurt Russell's son, right? Yeah. I have no idea,
but he has got such an idiot face.
I every week after I'd watch WandaVision, I would go onto Reddit and go to the discussion thread and see all the theories and look at what people are talking about. And I did the same with Falcon and Winter Soldier, even though there's not really any theories yet. But I saw someone summed it up really well, and everyone was praising them for it. And it was like, he's got the sort of face that I just want to punch.
Yes.
But that's the point. That is definitely the point. You're supposed to go. I mean, it's very well done. When watching it, I was like, the opening 10, 15 minutes or whatnot, where there's just this amazing action scene, which made me go like, yeah, they could have done a Falcon and Winter Soldier film, and people.
I thought you were about to swear.
Yeah, no, Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon. It just really sounded like you were like, I was like, what?
Falcon and Winter Soldier. No, so a Falcon and Winter Soldier film, all like this, and people would have been on board for it. Yeah. It's almost like they don't want to give the little side characters their own films. They're not quite big enough. But watching that, I was like, yeah, no, this would have worked. And then they go off telling a lot more story than they probably would in a film, and that made me realize, no, do you know what? There's really is a place for the TV stuff, and not just as like, let's just dump these characters on TV. Because they're not worthy, but like, no, we want to tell a much more fleshed out story here.
Yeah.
And that works great. And I think the whole thing about US Agent, and basically, obviously at the end of Endgame, Sam gets given the shield, and he says, it feels like it's someone else's, and he goes, no, it's in the right place, it's yours. And then we find out in Falcon and Winter Soldier that he donates it to the Smithsonian. He's like, I still don't feel right about having it, so here you go. I'll just carry on being Falcon, and here you can display it for everyone to see, and it can inspire future generations, and blah blah blah. Then he goes off, and the rest of the episode is him and his sister and his niece. Him trying to talk his sister out of selling their family boat that their parents, bought 50 years ago, and he grew up on and whatnot, and making sure they don't lose the house and all this sort of stuff. And it's really well done in that he's like, he's given up on the shield. He doesn't feel like that is his thing, that is something a mantle he can take over, but he really wants to take over the mantle of, that his parents had. So he's focusing on this one thing that he can deal with, but not the other thing, even though he's been told, look, you're the guy for this. So I think you couldn't have done. I don't think you could have had the time to play with that story in a film. So it works really well. And then the fact that at the end, the Smithsonian just went, okay, well, we've got this now. We can do what we like with it. And they hand it to a new guy. You're supposed to go, that's not right. I hate this guy.
Oh, yeah, no, I get that. And it'd be, like you said, they've done it very well. But his face is just so fucking cartoony and stupid.
Absolutely. But that is entirely the point.
I know that's the point, but it just...
you look at Chris Evans as Cap, and it just everything about him just looks perfect. It's just like, this is like it's going to be difficult to recast Wolverine, because Hugh Jackman just sort of personifies that role too well.
Did you see? There's a bit of an online sort of thing going to get what the fuck's his name from The Boys? What the?
Which one?
My mind's gone well blank. The main bad good dude.
The guy who plays Billy Butcher.
No, not him. The main superhero dude. What's his name? My mind gone blank.
Oh, Homelander.
Play
Wolverine.
Yeah. So someone has gone like, "Have you seen this? Here's my fan interpretation of what he would look like."
And giving him sideburns, basically,
to play Wolverine. And then it all went a bit like mental on this online thing, and the guy who plays Homelander was like, I'd be well up for this.
Of course he would.
And was like, have you checked me out? Have you put some like snick. And he made some Wolverine quote and was like, yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I'd be up for it. Come at me, Marvel. And the fan art looked fucking awesome, like the artwork for it. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, but you are right. Wolverine is literally Hugh Jackman.
It's difficult. There are certain characters that now they've absolutely they just cast right from the get go, and it's hard to redo.
The one thing I like with Captain America is the fact that he passes on the shield so many different variations, or like all the time there's so many different versions of Cap America.
Yeah,
that I haven't got an issue with them doing. Okay, I pass on the shield to Cap. It's like now in the comics you've got the new gay Cap.
Yeah,
which is coming out, and like that's awesome. The fact that diversifying and doing lots of different variations of Cap.
But if they're ever going to do that in the films, they will cast someone who really looks the part. Sam Wilson has been Captain America in the comics.
Yes,
which is why this storyline works. But I think this character, he won't be the new Cap. It's supposed to, I think by the end of this, he'll have moved on. Sam will have taken the mantle, or something will have happened. But
because have you read much about US Agent?
No, not really.
I was trying to dig into it after seeing him, because I was like, the one thing that made me laugh was me and Ash watched it on Friday. Like as soon as all were in bed, I was like, "Can we have tea and watch Falcon Winter Soldier?" She's like, "Is this because you want to decide what's going on, or do you have to report back?" And I was like, well, I'm going to talk about it on the pod. You sort of need to watch it before Monday, but I just thought it'd be nice for us to watch it because you like watching the Marvel stuff. She was like, yeah, sure. So she was watching it and like dicking about on the phone while she was watching it. And she never made any comment all the way through up until she looked up and seen Cap and was like, what the fuck? So she just went off, and I was like, your only notation about the entire thing was how stupid Cap looks. And you're right. The US Agent does look daft. And I was like, I wonder why they've done that. So I went on, and it was like, yeah, it's actually US Agent, not obviously the Cap guy. And that he's just a really vindictive, murderous, violent bastard.
Right.
Like, he just outright murders like scientists and like anyone that looks like they could do a little bit of harm, or even innocent bystander stuff. Apparently he gets it taken off him, the mantle, because he's just a dick. So I'm wondering if they're going to show that, or if they're just going to be like, yeah, now there's a Cap somewhere, and either A, is that going to be a spin-off show, or B, are they going to show it in this, or C, is this just to rile Sam up to go, fuck it, I am going to become Cap, or what? But like I love Sam as Falcon, and I think he works really fucking well as Falcon. And I like the fact that they did the show without even interacting with each other. Like they made the notation, like the things be like, well, yeah, if you know, like, you know, Sam's been trying to contact you when you talk to the Winter Soldier. He's like, for the past 3 years, like, yeah, I know. He's like, you've got like fucking 30 missed calls off him. Yep. Like, are you not going to speak to him? Nope. And I was like, it's nice fact that the show is, you know, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they're not even talking to each other or even referencing each other exist as of yet. It's just like,
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Let's carry on. And I like their stories. I think that it's so well. Like, I'd love to have seen a Falcon show, and I'd love to just have a Winter Soldier show, but we're going to get them both together. No, it's awesome. The only thing downside was that it was like 47 minutes or something, and then obviously like 17 minutes of that
minutes, yeah.
is fucking credits. So I was like, I thought we had like 6 1-hour shows, like straight up the bat. It's like,
well, nothing's ever been an hour. You know, ignoring the fact that the Disney Plus stuff seems to be all over the place. An hour is with adverts, isn't it? So I was always expecting about 45 minutes, and then I thought, well, fair enough. You're probably going to have about 7 or 8 minutes of credits.
Mm. Yeah, it just made me think, because it was going straight to the streaming service, would have like the hour show.
Mm.
Obviously not.
Absolutely, it would have been great. I would have absolutely appreciated it if it just had that little bit more. But
yeah, I think because it was just. And as again, talking to Mike over at my mate at work, it's so nice to have a new Marvel thing that feels like the film, sort of like a continuation. Whereas WandaVision was a great show, don't get me wrong. It took until about the 7th episode to feel like it was like a proper show. Whereas this straight off the bat was like, right, okay, credit Falcon Winter Soldier and fucking huge, massive action sequence, and just from the get-go all the way through, and I was like, yeah, I am feeling like this definitely is on the big screen. It's fucking brilliant, and I really, really dug it. I thought it was a really, really great premiere. It's how it should be done. And it's just a shame that straight after I was like, right, let's see what this Snyder Cut's about.
Well, I kind of went the opposite. I watched the Snyder Cut, and then I was like, oh, let me see what else is on Now Movies. And I had about 2 and a bit hours until we had the podcast. So I watched Birds of Prey.
That's a good film.
It's great.
I enjoyed Birds of Prey.
Yeah. Now, yes, it's great. It still has its flaws. I really liked the first sort of half hour, 45 minutes. I really liked the end. It had a little bit of a slow moment in the middle, but at no point did I not enjoy it. It definitely didn't keep up the pace. But yeah, as a whole, it's great. It was shorter than I expected, so it was a really nice flow, I think. But I expected a bit more, and I'm glad it wasn't like this. But I think from the trailer and stuff, I expected this whole sort of, girl team Birds of Prey thing running all the way through it. But it was really interesting, and it wasn't at all. It was completely separate characters that keep crossing paths, and then eventually the paths cross to the point where they have to work together, and then that's just the entire finale. It worked great. She was really good. It was probably the best version of Harley Quinn we've had out of the stuff that she's done. Although that's not really much, I suppose, is it? But she was just a little bit much in Suicide Squad, but then everything was, I guess. Whereas this, she was just a really fun, endearing character that you could absolutely hate because she's criminal, she's a murderer, but she was just really enjoyable. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I don't think I went into it thinking I'm not going to like this, but yeah, I don't know. It was just a really bad trailer. It was one of the worst trailers I've seen for a big movie in quite some time. But,
I think that's it, isn't it? And it was just, I think I went in with very low expectations, but just thinking, you know what, it's a comic book film, and I've got Sky Cinema now, so I'm going to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, yeah, you know what, so have it on the background while I play WoW, and that's what I did to begin with. And then in the end, I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to stay in this in and just carry on watching the rest of that. And I just really, really enjoyed it. Just fun. Don't think about anything. Just have on. As opposed to the likes of, you know, the Justice League and that sort of stuff where you got to literally go, right, what's this character doing? Why are they doing that? What's going on with this? What's doing this? Why is that happening? It was just a case of stick it on and just play it out. And it was just really fun.
Yeah.
Although Tim Booth as Zaz still would have been better.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't realize it was Victor Zaz for a little bit, because he just looked like he'd been in a fight and had a few scratches, and then they named him, and then later on he showed all his scratches. But yeah, it was good. I was pleasantly surprised. I'm kind of almost disappointed that it didn't do better. Just not sure there's going to be any more, but do you know what? At least we've got the James Gunn Suicide Squad to come.
Yeah, so that's so I know that we like James Gunn, and I know we like some of the characters in Suicide Squad.
Okay.
But after being burnt by the first Suicide, I know it's going to be the whole Snyder cut again, where I've been burnt, I can't be arsed doing this again, and then when it comes out, I'll be like, yeah, go on then, I will. But I don't have many expectations for Suicide Squad. I
do, because it literally, I feel like it's going to be far more Guardians of the Galaxy than it is original Suicide Squad. I
hope so. I really don't I like the fact that, you know, he's putting in 1,001 characters just to kill off who he wants.
Exactly.
I like that. The fact that they've already spawned and started filming fucking spin-offs and stuff.
Peacemaker, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow. And now one of the characters in Peacemaker's getting his own spin-off.
Right.
Already, this is the one thing I don't like about when these sort of franchises become popular is right, okay, who can we milk? Right, let's do this, this, and this. And I know you don't have to watch it, but things are always better when you actually give it its all and actually watch it all. But I'm just like, can I really be that arsed to sit through that? Because we've already gone through this before, but I really like John Cena. I think he's a great character. So Peacemaker I will watch. But I don't know if there's a requirement for more spin-offs already before the film even comes out.
No, there probably isn't. I think it's getting a bit ahead of themselves, but typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to it. And to be fair, even if we don't compare it to something like Guardians of the Galaxy, if it's got the sort of the lightheartedness mixed with uber violence of Birds of Prey, I'll be perfectly happy.
Yeah, because it was quite violent.
Yeah.
And again, there was quite a bit of slow motion in that as well. It just seems to be a DC thing.
Yeah.
Right, can we do just
slow violence? Violence is better when it's in slow motion.
True. As long as it's done correctly, unlike the Justice League. It was just awkward moments that they decided to put into it in slow mo. It wasn't the punch that lands. It was the run up to the punch. That sort of stuff that threw me when I'm like, if you're going to slow mo it, at least do the connection. Don't do the whole swing in slow motion and then speed up for the hit. That sort of stuff made no sense to me. And I was like, why are you doing that? It just seems really weird and bizarre and completely out of place. So I wasn't a fan, but yeah. No. There was bits like that especially when Harley Quinn's fighting in the prison cell and stuff, and she was doing all the random backflips and stuff. They were doing the slow motion. I was like, you didn't need to do that. But okay, cool.
Fair enough.
But no, all in all, enjoyable romp.
Yeah. And just to wrap up then, in terms of talking about all the stuff that's going to be going to HBO Max. A few weeks ago we were talking about nothing but Disney Plus. Now we're talking about nothing but HBO Max. You're going to be disappointed, Reg, in that there doesn't seem to be a home in the UK for any of the Warner Brothers movies
I know,
while
right?
cinemas are closed, because Godzilla versus King Kong has been announced as going straight to premium rental, premium streaming, which is going to be, I can't remember the amount I read, about $15.99, $16.99 to rent for 2 days, which is, that's your standard. That was like what Trolls 2 World Tour launched at or whatever. It's not. I know it's not Disney money
because the new trailer is great. I haven't watched it with sound, but I watched the it's like
the Godzilla Kong trailer.
Yeah, it was like.
But have you seen any of the previous films?
Yes.
Which ones?
Yes.
All of them.
I've seen all of them.
Okay. The trailers have generally been pretty good. So I'm not. I want to watch it. I didn't hate King of Monsters, but it wasn't great. I really like Skull Island, but it's a good standalone movie. I know it's part of this monsterverse, but it doesn't need to be. No. But yeah, it's more the fact that I know it's not necessarily something you're bothered about, that is not going to be on any service that you can just pay for a subscription. It's more that Mortal Kombat is not going to be on any of these things. That was my point.
That was the thing that got me a bit, because I watched the trailer and then it said in HBO Max and certain select cinemas on the trailer, and I was watching it just like in the corner while I was doing some work and stuff, and then I just clocked it and I was like, Sky Cinema. Holy shit, so it is right then. So they're just going to start showing all the films in Sky Cinema. I got really excited and then watched it again and I was like, select cinema. Right, okay. Not Sky Cinema.
Right.
And then I looked and I was like, so Mortal Kombat won't be coming on Sky Cinema, because I had a quick Google and they were like, don't expect it.
I mean, that's for the States. That's just, where cinemas are open in some places. Whereas over here, well, I mean, I can't remember what I think the last 2 weeks we've done this where we've like, when are cinemas opening? And we've Googled sometime in May, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, May 17th.
So you might find the Mortal Kombat is out after that. I can't remember when Mortal Kombat's due, but yeah, fortunately you'll probably be able to go to a cinema to watch it if you feel like it.
Would you be up for a cinema watching of?
Yeah, of course.
Kombat?
Absolutely. I'm dying to go back to the cinema. I've said it multiple times on this pod. I'm not. I at the price that it is at my local and well, our old local, which is in the middle of us, where it's just like £5 to watch any film. I'll go and see almost anything. But anywho, that's enough of that. We're getting on 4 hours here, Reg.
Well, we can call this the Sandman cut.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not cutting much out.
No, you don't.
Definitely doing a Zack Snyder.
It's all golden. It always is.
All of it. It's all butter. It's gravy. That's what they say, right?
It is. It's all gravy.
It is.
It is. So, just randomly done this. So, Rotten Tomatoes score for the Justice League, just to end on, because for some reason my phone lit up with Facebook on.
All right.
And the
Can I guess?
Yep.
Okay. So we've got the critic score and we've got
the audience score.
Audience score 92.
Close.
Okay.
Very close.
Critic score. What is it?
97%.
97.
As
only
opposed,
3% of audiences who sat through that 4 hours went, yeah.
Yeah. As opposed to, what do you think the audience score was for the original Justice League?
37.
Nowhere near that low, the audience score. Okay. 71.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was a bad one.
Yeah.
But the critic score then?
Critic score 62.
For the new one or the old one?
New one.
The new one, higher.
78.
Oh, slightly lower.
Okay. I'm not guessing again. That was
75.
We'd be here all day. Okay. So, and then the original, about 32.
Slightly higher.
Okay, 36.
40.
Right. Fair enough.
So yeah.
Interesting.
really interesting. But hey ho, I would agree with the critic score on both of those. So I'm definitely not an audience score member of 97%. That's for fucking sure.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. But hey ho, thank you everybody for listening, because that's a nice way for us to end it.
Yep. And apologise if we spoil anything, but it's, it's not that important.
I think people that want to watch it will have watched it by the time you listen to this.
Probably. And I'm pretty sure that if you really cared that much, you'd either have watched it or you just turned off immediately when we announced we were about to talk about the Snyder Cut. Yeah. No, we didn't talk about that, Reg.
Is it the fact that the Avengers logo and the Quinjet is now illuminated in the Avengers campus in Disney California Adventure?
It's not. No.
It looks so good.
Okay.
You need to Google image it.
What we didn't talk about is how you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
Yeah,
I'm all right.
me too. Cool. All right, thanks for listening. Bye.
But I'll have a haircut by the time people listen to this, Dan.
They listen to this audio podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow is my haircut day. And you guys don't get to get your haircut until next month. But I do. I'm in Wales.
I do. I just shave it myself. Badly. Anyway. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Toodles.